Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 54. Suspension design is complete. So that's one more for the car. Of course, we only had 3 for this whole period. Funny thing is the design center, when you're down the grid, when you're one of the last teams, you adore the idea of a project capacity of 4 and engineer capacity of 20. Our upgrade to the 4th level for the design center just completed keeps our project capacity the same. It does increase the engineer capacity by 5, so we now can put 5 engineers on every project, which means they're going to get done a lot faster. But as we've moved up the grid, now that we don't have the access to the wind tunnel time that we had before, it doesn't matter as much because you can only get so many projects in. They'll be done faster, which I suppose that's good because you get them on the car quicker. Ultimately, that's still a good thing. But having a 4th project now doesn't feel like it would have felt last year. Also, at 32 million, it's a spendy one. Monthly car update shows that we are definitely not on top anymore. Where we were at the start of the season is certainly not where we're at now. Other teams have caught up and passed us. Recently, we find ourselves now just towards the front end when it comes to cornering and dirty air cornering being, well, for once identical to one another, 7th, 6th, and 8th. So an average of about 7th best on the grid, meaning there are 3 teams that are now better than us. I'll give you 3 guesses on which 3 teams it is. Probably only going to need 1 guess. Brake cooling and engine cooling at least aren't last anymore, as they are 17th. Top speed is 16th now. Acceleration is still right at the bottom, 19th and 20th for our 2 cars. So we're still last place in acceleration, and that has been that problem that we've been trying to address this season, and it's just hard to do with the 3 parts that are really holding us back right now, especially their rate of upgrade. The RS is up to 11th at least, and the acceleration with the RS is 5th, and that's that key, right? That's why we know that is our strong point. We've got good downforce. We get around corners quickly, certainly helps, but it's going to be difficult with some recent upgrades to other cars. It's going to be difficult to hang on to 2nd in the constructors. I think it's going to be really difficult to even challenge Red Bull at any stage through the remainder of the season. I think, sure, we can get another win or 2 at some point, but on paper, this is definitely not a race-winning car. Last year, we did manage to get on the lead lap as we were very much at the back of the grid the first year that we were in Baku. But last year, we just missed out on points. But by just missing out on points, we were actually literally still quite a ways off. I mean, you look at the time, we were 20 seconds behind Ocon for the last points-paying position, and just finished ahead of Vettel in the AlphaTauri, where Porsche was less than 2/10 from beating Fernando Alonso in the Alfa Romeo for 13th a year ago. But missing out on points, I think today, realistically, getting into the points is about all we can really count on, as we're looking at a track that has a lot of slow speed corners, which, okay, fine, we're good at that, but we're not on top any longer. But then fast sections, acceleration and top speed, both mattering a lot here, and we're very weak in that. DRS will be our friend, as always, on this track. A couple DRS sections will absolutely help us out.
Hello from Baku, where we're looking forward to a weekend of racing among the medieval and the modern, here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Drivers will be battling it out on the streets of the Baku city circuit, a real contradiction of a track. From the long main straight, where the less drag the better, to the tight turns where downforce is a necessity. Teams are going to have to work hard to get that balance right. We're about halfway through the season now, and there's still plenty of time for everything to change. All eyes are on the teams and how they tackle the rest of the year. The competition is on.
Here in Q1, I am a little nervous about our pace, but we've only been burned by this once, and I am taking our chances. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to change things until we've been burned twice. Really. I'm not learning the lesson until then. So for now, we are out there pushing. We are chasing an Aston Martin, which isn't great for Porsche. He's getting closer on a Stroll here as the checkered flag finally waves. And that could be dangerous for our lap time. But we should get a tow down the straight at the very least. And that could help us. We'll see what Porsche's lap time is like. Oh, he's all the way up in P8. And Albon is taking his spot in P8. We're within a second. It's a decent lap time. Bottas is rather quick in the McLaren, and Alonso in the Alfa Romeo, but otherwise it's your usual suspects at the top. This time as we're getting our banker lap in, track is clear as we do so it should be a decent one. Of course, it's the U set from Q1. Albon just marginally faster than Albon, and it's again within 1 second of the top time, or at least for the moment, if Leclerc keeps that spot. Hamilton has somehow squeezed his way, and Norris have squeezed their way in between, even though we barely had a difference in the tires for the two. Albon, right now, safe in P7, Porsche on the bubble in P10. Tsunoda will be the first to get his lap underway. It's going to be difficult for him to get out of the session out there that far alone. Alonso is one of the guys ahead of us that we are chasing, so him having the advantage by going last, not going to help him that much, but Norris and Ocon are definitely among the guys we are racing, and they're going to be right at the end. Tsunoda about to cross the line, and he improves but does not change his position. Vettel, same. Zhou, same. Starting to look like we might be safe. However, Sainz has not crossed the line, so Sainz does move up. He moves up to P2. So Porsche off the bubble. Ocon, the one you got to watch out for otherwise. And Albon down to P10. He is going to have to improve his time, it looks like. And Porsche does. He's up to P7. That bumps Albon. Albon, P9. Gets enough. Does enough. Ocon improved, but only to P13. Hamilton, P10. Remember, Mercedes is a little bit off the pace this year. Alonso puts in an identical time. Busy track as everybody's getting out very quickly. Porsche and Albon, first and third car on the go for this first run. It's Q3. Of course, everybody else is on the fresh tires, and we are on the used ones. And that puts us a little bit slower. We're about a tenth off from where we would normally be, and Hamilton seems to be the only one we might even be challenging at this stage, which is what the case was in Q2. Right on board with Porsche as we take a lap around Baku. Final run of Q3. It's a little bit dark out there. It's a little bit hazy. But under these clouds, it looks like it's not going to rain, and track condition has just continued to ramp up as we follow the Ferrari. As always throughout this season, what you see in Q3 is everybody else uses their fresh set for the first run. I use it on run number 2 as we are past the castle and making our way around it now, and then that is the final tight turn right there, and then it's basically a straight from here with a little dog leg in the road that is taken flat out, but has to be done so carefully. And we make our way towards the finish line. Right now, Hamilton's time is not great, so he's the one we've got a real shot at beating. What can we do with this time, though? Can we get ahead of Russell or Alonso, maybe? And the answer is no. 8 tenths down. Albon also 8 tenths down. So Porsche P8, Albon P9. A good tenth of a second ahead of Hamilton, but 2 tenths off of Russell and Co. If you're asking me, Bottas looks really quick. Those front 5 are probably going to run away with this thing. Meanwhile, Alonso, Russell, and with DRS, us along with Hamilton, where everybody else was more than a second down, probably struggling. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see 5 cars drive away and then 5 cars in the second train and that we're able to compete with that group, which at least would mean points for both cars if that is the case during the race.
It's race day with the teams and drivers ready and raring to go.
Qualifying went well for Williams, as attested by their strong position on the grid. Now it's all about finding that edge for the race itself. This weekend, Red Bull displayed promise during qualifying. Now they need to capitalize on their grid position and get a good race under their belts. And the sky is looking grey and cloudy today. An effective tyre strategy could prove very valuable as the race plays out.
But for now, though, let's get ready for all the action of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
One lap around Baku is a long lap. It's much longer than most circuits, nearly 2 minutes. Therefore, under fueling, you got to be careful on under fueling by a lot here, though you are pretty much guaranteed a safety car, and that'll take care of things. But if you don't get one and you underfuel by a lot, you're going to be in a world of hurt, because that is a lot of fuel to recover over the course of the race. So only underfueling by 1 lap. And also, even though technically a 2-stopper is supposed to be faster here, I think A, our good tire wear will help us, and B, DRS is our key. And if DRS is the key, we need to make sure we're remaining in a train, which means a 1-stopper is easily the smarter way to go, staying out on track, staying in the tow of others, and pitting, a lap after them or pitting at the same time as them, though, of course, pit box always catches us out, but coming out behind them is not a problem as long as we come out, closer. The one thing that I've consistently seen that I do think the devs need to work on a bit is when you have somebody going past your box, the wait to rejoin is a lot longer than what you would have in real life. So instead of coming out half a second behind them after waiting for them to go past, you come out 1.5 to 2 seconds down. So you're not even in DRS range when you get back out on track, and then you're chasing for 3 laps, burning those tires up, overheating them early on, which is definitely not good. Game is driving me nuts that it keeps trying to force us into a different setup. I was 4/5 and should have had the 5/5. Didn't give it to me, so my last setup, I don't know what it ever was. So I reverted to the previous one, which was almost optimal, and it keeps forcing me to revert over and over again and doesn't seem to want to hold that every time I kind of back out of it. It goes away.
It's a bit of a cloudy day for the race, but the atmosphere as ever is electric. Williams here. A top 10 position today, but will they be able to capitalise on it? And then we've got Alex Albon. They might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. And we're just moments away now. Here we go, with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
It almost looks like fog or haze is the situation. It is cloudy. It's supposed to get sunny in about 4 minutes. And off the line, Pourchaire is good. He's holding his P8, but Albon with the Mercedes side by side, and he's going to have to continue to push if he is going to settle in ahead of Hamilton. And he does. Pourchaire with a small chance to overtake Verstappen. Verstappen had a, I think, 5-grid penalty for this race, and that dropped him to P7, which for the moment we're ahead of him. Now, the good news for us is that means it's your front 4 pulling away, and it could be Verstappen helping keep our group close behind.
And there's an overtake from Williams.
Which means Pourchaire doesn't necessarily need to fight to get ahead of Verstappen, but he does, and now he's going to get a look at the inside of the Alfa Romeo as well, but then decides to tuck in, as this is a very difficult place to go side by side. And while we had earned the right to be up alongside him, pushing there is not a good way to get the outcome you want. But again, we have a look. I think we can afford to push just a little bit longer here, as down straight I don't think we're going to have much of a pace advantage, but if we're pushing, and it could go well. As Albin also having a look alongside Verstappen. So being aggressive here. Looks like at least not on the straights, but over the rest of the track, we do have the ability to make some overtakes, as we have overtaken a Red Bull and a quick Alonso in the Alfa Romeo. We're going to have to continue pushing down the straight, and then after that we'll start to settle in, as our advantage is definitely not down the straight, so that's going to require us being a little more aggressive through there. So dropping to balanced, as that fuel is definitely going to be an issue, and we'll continue to use the overtake a little bit, especially as it's full.
Get back off.
Ooh, hello. Are we going to get up alongside Alonso? If we could make it a front 6 or 7 or 8 and see Alonso kind of fall back and Hamilton fall back, that would be ideal for our race, as those are the guys we should be racing. But if they lose the DRS before we ever get it, like Hamilton at 1.5 seconds down right now, as we are up beside the Alfa Romeo of Alonso, and then decide to tuck in. So Albin in the same place, nearly had a move complete and then had to back off. So we're already seeing that advantage through this portion of the track. And we take that advantage a little bit further and get ahead of Alonso. At the moment, Verstappen was struggling with pace just a little bit, but he's closed that right back down. And there we go, side by side. Battery empty already.
Copy.
We had 40% a second ago. Go ahead, go neutral. We are ahead, but can we hold it? 9/10 behind our teammate. We do need to close that down. Looks like we're going to just about hold off Alonso, but struggling to keep up with our teammate for now. Oh gosh, he was on deploy. I thought we were on neutral. My bad. There's that wing though. And Hamilton does not get it, so there's that first key. As we're going to go ahead and settle in now.
Just do lift and coasting.
With Albin, and he's quick through here, so settling in still does not make us slow. So Leclerc leads from Sainz. Perez 2 seconds behind. Hello, that's something. So lap 4, settling in, as we don't have a choice. I mean, we really do need to settle in. Norris escapes Guan Yu Zhou and others, so that's a good thing. Verstappen comes through, so Verstappen is now leading our group of 4. Let's go ahead and slow it down as Porsche tries to keep up with him and is struggling to do so at the moment. DRS closes us back up, and we actually fly past Verstappen. Now the worry is when he flies past with DRS when we don't have it, that's where he'll get that second away, which is what nearly happened. So our mini train is 6 through 9. I did predict that the front 5 would pull away, but I did not think that that would include Russell. And I did not think that that wouldn't include Verstappen, but of course Verstappen had that penalty and it put him just behind that group. So that's the main cause on that part. But as for us, it's not terrible because, you know, after things have settled in and he doesn't get DRS, it'll help drag us forward a bit. Now 4.5 seconds, almost 5 seconds behind us. And Zhou is, 2.5 behind that. Hamilton right on his heels, and then Tsunoda also losing the wheel, and Stroll losing the wheel. So the field is spreading out rather quick. Norris, though, 7.5 seconds back. And the gap is growing. Gasly pits very early in this race. He must be going for the two-stopper. Is he the only one doing so? By the way, who's gone for the hards? No one. Russell and Sainz will pit soon. No wonder Russell has been able to keep up with those guys. We'll see if he goes soft, hard. Well, either way, it's going to go hard. So Sainz and Russell both into the pits. Magnussen will probably pit as well, and he does. They'll come out on the hards, and Sainz, not even that far down. Sainz is in the gap ahead of Norris. Verstappen is long gone and has caught Perez, by the way. Pit window. It is that time. It is very much that time. I think Albon needs... Okay. Didn't quite see that one coming, but let's ignore it for a little bit. But we need DRS. That's the tricky thing, is we need DRS. So Albon's going to pit.
Oh, there's a spin!
Schumacher with a spin on turn 16. And that is Albon coming back out on track. And put him standard. We can't afford to go. That's Vettel just behind us. And Porsche is going to pit in this lap. As we're not strong today, it's really hard to do things like refill the battery or turn the engine down for any period of time. As Porsche comes out ahead of Albon, but just kind of marginally so. For now, here's that benefit at least of running together. We are now... Oh! Albon. Albon's not even doing anything, and he just spun. Not even doing anything. I mean, he's going harvest and conserve, and he spins.
Okay, reduce.
We did see that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now 3.8 behind his teammates. Now they are both running alone, and now just 4.5 seconds ahead of Norris. Let's hope we have better pace in Norris. At least the fuel got in a better state, but now they're going to be running alone on track for a while. So the Ferraris lead comfortably. Perez has caught up and now passed Bottas. Verstappen is a couple seconds behind, but has done the fastest lap here recently. So the Red Bulls are still very much a threat, but Russell is lost the benefit of tow from them, so he's driving on his own, and you're seeing a lot of that across the track. Cars all alone. For me, big safety car. Safety car.
Keep delta positive.
We have too far to go for mediums, so there's not much of a point in pitting now, as you're going to give up track position. So we're going to have to ignore.
Okay, there's
this will take care of the fuel. Looks like it is an Alfa Romeo at the very back of the grid who has crashed. It's not Alonso.
We just had a crash on the track.
It's Schumacher.
Let's see what happened there. Now let's watch
Schumacher
this.
was running
the Alfa
last.
Romeo involved in this one.
Oh!
Clearly something went
Completely
very
missed the
wrong
turn.
there.
Breaking point very late. We've seen that crash many times before, though.
And that
is a
was
common
bitter
one.
blow for the...
So if I pit, we're giving up 2 positions is all. 3. Guan Yu Zhou is also tucked in there. 3 positions is what we would be giving up. But again, this isn't going to get us to the end if we pit. Let's see if anybody ahead of us does. And we ride with Pourchaire
on
as we
with the
approach the
tyres.
line to resume racing. I am going to go aggressive here to see if we can't get ahead of
Look
Alonso
at
once
reducing
again. And
the
we know that
left-hand corner.
in a train, we're good. And now we're in a train. So we do get up beside the Alfa Romeo. We've also got the inside for the next turn
Overtake
as
is
well. We
available.
might even get ourselves in position to get up on Russell potentially, but no. We're going to tuck in behind him
Keep
in
doing
P7.
what you're doing.
Albin
And there's
now
an
trying to get
overtake
up
from
beside
Williams.
Alonso as well. So once again, off of a start, we find ourselves battling with those ahead of us. Now Pourchaire, I think Pourchaire, we want to go ahead and tuck in. We know that the Mercedes is fast.
Leave
We
core
need to
increase,
conserve
please.
the tires. We've already used up a ton of battery to make that overtake. And Albin gets through as well. Okay,
Okay, that's good. That's
keep
good.
pushing. Keep pushing, Albin. Come on, overtake, overtake. Get ahead of him.
And a new position.
Oh,
Just
he's going to get the
gained by
inside
Williams.
position here.
If you've got any pace
No,
left,
we got him.
it'll
We
be
got him.
good.
Okay, good. Norris has lost Alonso, though. So it looks like we're going to have a three-car train once again with Alonso. He may get us. He may lead us
turn
around
on
here at
DRS.
some point, but we will ultimately be able to probably overtake him at the end. Another crash, sector 1. That's got to be a front runner. That's got to be a front runner as Albin squeezes Pourchaire out there. It's
Here's
Perez.
the replay.
Perez
We're
crashing
just
on
watching
turn number
the
1.
Red Bull.
Under the braking zone. Oh, he just
And there we see
spins
the
out.
crash.
puts the rear into just barely into touching the
That's going
barrier.
to be
He'll
a
probably
big
continue
blow to
on.
the team.
He does continue on, but he's going to continue. Does he continue on? He does, but from last place. From last place. So there's one position. P6, 7, 8 is now our
Keep the head down.
our
Keep the
key
head down.
area.
Don't know what we have
And
left.
Hamilton. Ooh, where did Hamilton come from? My oh my, he is up here in this
Looks like
fight
that
now
was a
as well,
position
and we've
gain
already seen
for
that
Alfa
Mercedes is
Romeo.
faster. Coming off that last corner, we might have just lost Alonso, which means we're a sit and duck for Hamilton. And that is exactly the case. Will Albin squeezing his way through get up within a second? He nearly does. Can we slingshot our way back to within a second with Pourchaire? Another crash. Sector 1. Looks like a Haas, maybe. Already has continued on.
We've
The
had a
flag will
crash.
be lifted soon. Yeah, it's Madison. Albin, less than a second behind Alonso. We go down the straight, and he loses that ground. I don't know if he had DRS that time or not, but yes, we have closed right down on those guys. Alonso goes around Russell. Can we follow? No. I think Russell with DRS is going to easily overtake Alonso. And our position of swapping is not going great for us, but we still need to conserve a little bit more. Okay, we got DRS, barely. Alonso has pulled away from Russell. So, on the hards anyway, Russell not looking good. On the mediums, he was great. For Hamilton, it seems to be the opposite. Okay, both cars well positioned. Hamilton is getting close to Albin, though. We've nearly got the fuel right. Go balanced. Gaps coming out on both guys. So push on, Albin. Albin, come on, come on. I don't know how you got so far behind your teammate so fast when you were right there. Okay, holding at 9/10, so I think he's going to be okay. Yes, they both get DRS. Close on the fuel. Don't want it for the straight. We are so bad on the straight. So let's go ahead and get balanced before we hit the main straight. Down to a 10th. But like I said, we want to get a couple tenths so we have a chance at making a pass on Russell. Looks like Alonso's long gone now. First DRS zone we're able to withstand the mighty Mercedes, but second one they easily, Russell easily goes by.
It's a race position gained for Mercedes.
So looking to get one more tenth here in these final laps. Again, Albon goes from a few tenths to over a second very, very quickly. I don't know if he's going to get DRS here. And he does not. That's a worry, as that quickly opens the gap to 1.3 and leaves us very vulnerable to Hamilton. Hamilton's probably going to get him right here. And does. Boy, Albon has just not managed his race very well, as we have another crash on track. Porsche got around Russell. VSC.
Currently yellow at 7.
Sainz with the crash.
Take a look
Hello.
now. Okay, here's the Ferrari.
Now if it's VSC, he's probably out of the race. Locks up and smacks into the wall, and yeah,
crash.
That's Sainz. Still alive in P4, but you know he's got a pit. There's definitely no wing there. He is moving again. Yeah, Sainz missing half a wing. He will pit. The virtual safety car is clearly for the debris on track. He'll come back out on the softs. He'll be fast, but that wing change brings him well down the order. Coming out in 16th place. Perez, by the way, has only recovered to 14th, just ahead of him there. Guan Yu Zhou, the nearest one behind us, is 6 seconds back. You can just see us up the road with Albon in P8, right behind Hamilton, of course, after that mistake. But this is all within a second. Russell is just over a second behind us. Can we drive away from Russell? There you go. We're over a second ahead. No, we were.
VSC ending.
Okay, well, we have the fuel to push the rest of the way now. So we've got that. And we are something ahead of Russell. I cannot decide whether it's 1.4 or 0.6, but he has DRS. So apparently it's 0.6. I would believe the 1.4 as Albon up beside Hamilton here. Try to save the tires as they're going to fall off in the last laps. But look at that. Russell's only on 51%. So we are actually in a better state than those around us, pitting that couple laps later. That could be handy in the last few laps. Albon still has not completed the move against Hamilton.
And there's an overtake from Williams.
Go aggressive.
We could do with a bit more pace now if you've got it.
And use the overtake just to get ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can use the overtake.
There we go. Tuck in, neutral. Already getting up beside Russell there for a second, but that's not a good place to pass. As you come up here on the castle, right there on our left-hand side. There it is. Well, it was our left-hand side. Camera was showing the right-hand side, but you know how that works.
Just use the overtake.
Russell is 1.1 behind, so Porsche has actually managed to drive away. Is 2 seconds behind Alonso. Can we catch up to him as we sit in P5? And then Albon is going to put pressure on Russell. We're going to have DRS here in a moment. Can we turn that into an overtake? We do not have the DRS, but look at that. We are up past Russell. But is he going to get DRS? I think the detection zone is like right here. And then the DRS line is somewhere right up here. And yes, that is the case. So he gets DRS, not us.
Position just gained by Williams.
For now, it's P5, P6, but it's not looking good for hanging on to that. I like that we are 1.2 behind Pourchaire, as I don't really want to drag the Mercedes up to him. We'll save it. We'll save it for the end.
It's a race position gain for
Pourchaire
Mercedes.
now only barely a second ahead. So again, see that? See what happens when you give DRS to your faster competitor? That gap that you've worked so hard to open goes away. Just 1.7 behind Alonso. That would definitely get us out. 1.7 ahead of Russell now, so we're actually making some progress here. Back to neutral, so we have a chance to pass Alonso if we manage to get up there. Bottas comfortably P3 right now, so a big gap to Leclerc and then Verstappen in P2. And 1.3, we are catching Alonso pretty quick. And standard, 54% is not going to last too long here, and the fuel is not looking great here for Albon either, but at 0.8 we got to keep pushing to get DRS. Overtakes are going to be really hard for Albon without any battery, without the extra fuel, without much extra tire life. He's going to be struggling to beat either, if not both of the Mercedes, but Pourchaire now all over the back of Albon, or Alonso. 1.2. We've driven away from Russell. He will not have DRS. And Hamilton now gets around Russell because of that whole DRS thing. Okay, start to push.
Focus.
We want to close up. Albon almost gets in DRS range, but not quite. Overtake on.
Remember, overtake is available.
0.3 of a second behind, but it's the next zone where I'm thinking about it. We're all over the back of him here.
Last lap.
Ooh, side by side, but we're going to have DRS. That's going to make this a very easy overtake. Can we drive away from Alonso on this lap? And can we do anything about Albon 1.4 behind? Attack with Albon.
We're happy to push on if we can.
Okay.
Push on at the final straight if possible, if we can get close enough. Sector 1, yellow flag. Perez with another mistake. We're all the way up into P4 and P6, by the way. Perez crashed on turn 1, so it was more than just a lockup. He crashed. Alonso's 1.5 behind, so we've done it. We've driven away from Alonso. Keep that overtake on. Let's ride with Albon, as Albon is 1.4 behind. Go ahead and push while you have just a little bit here.
We think you can reduce lift and coast.
1.3. His only chance is with DRS. And it looks like he's just not quite there. Okay, we're going to use the overtake right now. That's it. Just that little acceleration.
Yes.
1.2. Not going to get DRS. Okay, go and go balanced. Leclerc takes a win ahead of Verstappen. Bottas is going to claim third, and Pourchaire is easily going to get fourth, which is a good result. Not where I expected us to be. Alonso does get fifth. Albon beats the Mercedes at least, gets P6. Couldn't quite get there to Alonso. I think one extra lap might have been able to eke out the position he needed, but even then he was stretching it. Russell gets back around Hamilton for P7. Sainz, after his mistake, falls to P9, and Guan Yu Zhou rounds out the points in P10. Norris, who was right there behind us, loses by 1/10 of a second from the points today. Nobody else really featured into the race much at all, except for Perez, who was out following that final crash, and gives no one a bonus point for fastest lap, which would have been either Verstappen or the Ferraris, so for us at least that's good. And in the case of Sainz's mistake, our P4, P6 may just about neutralize anyway the 25 points that Leclerc will get for winning this race. Yeah, just about. We get 20 points for 4th and 6th, only losing 5 points to the Ferraris and actually gaining 2 on the Red Bulls today. So that is a pretty good result for us. Bottas had a really strong day though, but we remain P2 and P3 in the drivers, with Albon ahead of Porsche right now, but those two, a lot of back and forth, pretty consistent drivers so far this season, with Perez not scoring, so we actually gain a bit of an advantage over him, and Sainz not gaining much either. Leclerc has been a bit behind on points today, but with that win, jumps to 61 and 6th place. Are we in the big three? In the points, it certainly looks like it. And in the constructors, I said we gained 2, so we're just 13 behind Red Bull and only lose 7 to Ferrari. How did they manage to get 2 extra points? Oh, Sainz had 2 points, sure. Okay, so we lose 7 to them, but that's still a healthy 72-point advantage. Mercedes now, well, is 4th. McLaren just behind in 5th, with a big old gap behind that. So 5 most competitive teams, but everybody has scored some points this season. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.